This is Keith Kettmann from Sunrise at Sea, and you're listening to Rock Paper Podcast.
Rock Paper Podcast.
Scissors beat paper, paper covers rock. Rock beats scissors, Shane covers non-stop. Never know what new kind of guest that he's got coming at you. Live and direct on the spot. Could be rock, folk, country, or hip-hop, jazz. All kind of folks that he has. Could be an artist or a comedian to make you laugh on the
Rock Paper Podcast.
double-decker fudge round, rolling round town. Shane coming at you live and direct from ground zero. He's your hero, he's your bestie. Rock Paper Podcast with Shane Presley.
Rock Paper Podcast.
Hey everybody, Shane Presley here, Rock Paper Podcast, coming to you from St. Louis, Missouri. Hanging out today with Keith Kettmann of Sunrise at Sea. Welcome to the show, man.
Thank you for having me.
This is cool, bud. We've been running around St. Louis music scene for a while together. We kind of known of you, and we've definitely talked at shows and stuff, but this is what's kind of fun with this show is like we can kind of sit down and actually have a conversation and kind of get to know a little bit more about each other and not have to try to talk over a band or anything else. And so that's the fun of this stuff, man.
Yeah, I think, I've known of Rock Paper Podcast forever, but I think the first time we actually physically met, I seem to think it was at Pops.
Yeah, it was like maybe like a Road to Point Fest or something like that, or maybe our bigger shows. I don't remember, but
I think it might have been the last time I was at Pops. Actually, I don't picture out there anymore. I used to play there all the time when I was like 12, 13 years old. My mom was like, "No, don't go out there. It's so dangerous." I'm like, it's fine.
Right.
I think it might have been with Ignore the Lights. I seem to think that was. Okay. I know that was the last show I was there for. I don't know if you had them on, but I was in that band for a minute. But I was out there supporting them, and I seem to think it was that one. Or no. Was it Many Colored Death?
It's a good possibility, yeah.
Okay, yeah. I think it was Many Colored Death. Now that I think about it, because
they rule.
Yeah. And then I did. Yes, they do, definitely. And Brent is an awesome luthier. I envy his works that he posts on Facebook all the time. His guitars look awesome, and I hit him up for a custom job, and I was like, oh yeah, I could afford that. And then bills came and car died and had to buy a new one and all that good stuff. So I'm like, a custom guitar isn't what I need right now. Wheels are. But anyway, yeah, Many Colored Death are awesome, and love them. I forgot how I came upon them, but they blew my mind. I've only seen them that one time. It was a couple of years ago. But they blew my mind. And then I know that I saw you once at Point Fest because you were standing right in front of me, and there's like a foot difference between you and I. I'm a statuesque 5'6". So, and I was like, I think that's Shane. And then it was like after the fact, like I think you had posted something saying, oh, I was at Point Fest. I'm like, so was I. So, but yeah, we've run into each other a few times over the years. And yeah. And I've been bugging you, I know, for a while to be like, well, once I have a project that's promoting, I would love to be on. I seem to think I knew about Rock Paper Podcast long before that, but I was in Pirate Signal too. Okay. And they were on maybe once or twice, perhaps.
Yeah, I think we did two of them so far. Yeah. That's another great group.
Yeah. It's crazy to think, but I left them in late 2014, so it's been it'll be 7 years. It's crazy to think how much time has passed, but Nick, the bass player, and I go back. I've known him almost 20 years. He and I have played in groups together. I joined his band back, I think I was like 18 maybe, and I played drums for a while in that band, and then moved to guitar and all that. So yeah, I've known Nick for forever also, and Josh is a good friend. Brett and I forgot who the drummer is. I've never met him. I might have met the drummer at a show or something like that, but I forgot what his name is. But Brett replaced me in the band, so I never played with either of those two.
Okay.
But anyway.
Let's go back. Like I said, so we're getting finally getting to sit down and talk and stuff. Take me back in, like you always from the St. Louis area. Is this
No. Okay. So I was born in Germany, actually, in Bitburg, which is it's right next to Trier, which is the oldest German settlement in Germany, near Belgium. So on the west side of Germany. But my dad was in the military, but it's coincidentally my family is of German descent, with the two T's, two N's kind of give it away in my last name. But no, I was born there and then came over. I think it was like 89. It was before my brother. I have a younger brother. It was before he was born. And then I lived near Champaign, Illinois for a couple of years and moved to Phoenix. Then moved to St. Louis for like a year, moved away and then moved back and, kind of back and forth. But I've been here since 98, 8th grade. So ever since then. So
was that just like bouncing around because of parents' work or something, or
military,
yeah.
And just mom's indecisiveness as to where to live. But both of my parents are originally from St. Louis, so
okay.
But there's a lot of St. Louis isms that are lost on me. Even though I have been here the longest, there's certain things that I'm like, I don't get it. Like the whole high school thing. I used to think that was just because you were trying to figure out if you knew somebody from that school.
All right.
When I guess I found out much later that it was a status thing. So yeah. And as far as status goes, my dad's from Spanish Lake and my mom's from Ladue. So how did that ever happen?
Yeah. I don't know, man. It is kind of one of those strange things that seems, I guess it really only happens here. Nobody else really gives a shit about what high school you went to. But St. Louis, that's like the go-to. Everybody asks for some reason.
Right. And actually, funny enough, I did ask that question because it was legitimately because I was trying to find out if I knew somebody from that school.
Right.
And then come to find out that it was like I dated a girl that went to this school, and that friend that I met years later was like their best friend, but the girl ended up moving to Colorado. So it was like one of these things where we met after the fact, and then she goes, "Oh my God, you're Keith." I'm like, "Yeah, I always have been." She's like, "Oh my God, I remember she used to talk about you all the time." I'm like, "Oh, okay." So it was one of those weird roundabout things, but
right.
Anyway.
So you've been here in St. Louis for quite a while now. When does music kind of come around? You said you've played guitar, bass, guitar, drumming, and
yeah. Well, okay. So apparently it's been forever. I remember at about 5 getting an acoustic guitar that I still have actually in the other room. I got that it was just given to me. I don't remember. I don't think it was for any special occasion or anything. And I would just mess around on it. And I think someone taught me something easy to play with open strings. I don't remember, anything in particular. It might've been like Nothing Else Matters by Metallica or something. Maybe, I don't know. But anyway, I got a guitar then, but then one of my cousins found a picture from, it had to have been one of the times when we were visiting from Germany, of me holding like a plastic guitar. Like that was my thing. There was several pictures of me holding that. So it must have always been part of me. Neither of my parents are musicians, but my mom's brother was. He played guitar, and then he, I guess, gave it up in the 80s and went to college and stuff like that. But he still got his guitars, and I'm envious of a lot of them. But he's the only like musician that's like in close lineage to me. But then on my dad's side of the family, there were pictures from whenever I guess they must have just come over from Germany, because there's quite a few of them. It looks like one of those old, black and white not homestead, but like prairie, you know what I mean? Like out on the range thing.
Right.
And there's several people holding guitars in that picture. So, or it looks like it, you know, it's extremely washed out. So I think it's something that's in my gene. Oh, you know what? I forgot my cousin also played guitar, you know, and she's given me quite a bit of gear over the years too. She gave me this awesome Jimi Hendrix wah that is all over the album and stuff. So anytime you hear a wah, it's that Jimi Hendrix wah that I probably wouldn't play it live because I think it might be rare. I know they don't make them anymore. That was from like 20 years ago, but yeah, it's really, really cool. It's got a great sound, but so yeah, my cousin on my dad's side, and then my uncle, my mom's brother, are like the only two musicians that are like in close lineage as far as musicians go. But it always kind of came naturally to me, I guess, because I started getting serious with the guitar when I was about 10. And then when I was a freshman in high school, I joined my first like serious band. And by serious, I mean, we played like basement shows and stuff and practiced. And we played like high school talent shows and battled the bands and stuff like that. And the drummer in that band taught me how to play drums. And literally he was just like, you know, with one hand, count to 4, on 1, stomp your foot, and 3, hit your other hand. It's like,
right.
Okay. And literally that was all he taught me. And from that, I learned by listening to Nirvana and, you know, really watching old Nirvana videos of Dave Grohl playing. And, you know, so that's how I learned drums. Then I also took a piano class that year, and I didn't really learn piano per se. Like the teacher taught us the notes. It was kind of the same way as the drummer taught me. You know, it was these are the notes on the piano, these are the notes in the on the sheet music, and these are the rhythms, you know. And so then it's like they kind of give you the tools, and then I learned everything else by ear and by reading. I can read music, but I can't sight read music. I'm horrible at I wouldn't be able to do that. But I can read music, and I know, you know, obviously theory and stuff like that behind it. But that was freshman year. And then like throughout grade school and middle school, I played string instruments and stuff like that in an orchestra and Suzuki and, you know, other school programs. So I kind of always played. And then all of that knowledge and experiences helped me with compositions and stuff like that. So,
yeah,
you know,
I've talked about it a bunch and on the show, but I always think about, I gave it a try. You know, music. I've always been a giant fan, but like I tried to play in like 6th grade. I was like, you know, open call for school band kind of thing. And I was like, all right, well, a bunch of my friends were doing it. So I was like, I'll give it a shot. And I walked in and I was like, I'll try cornet. Just, I don't know. It was something. So I was like, we did the whole instrument rental thing, and I was practicing and trying it and was never really any good. And I remember going like back to class one day, and my band teacher was like, essentially said like, you're either gonna have to try really hard or you can go back to gym class. And I'm like, all right, well, I'll see you later. Like, you know, it's like, I'll go back to gym. And, I did much better at sports than music. So,
you're not fooling me. You got a guitar behind you.
All right. Yeah, I do have one. It's a nice autographed guitar. So,
oh, okay. Never mind then.
I don't have any idea how to play it though.
Yeah. Okay. It's autographed. Yeah. You don't want to play that.
Yeah. But yeah, man. Did any of those bands, the bands that started taking it seriously, playing the basement shows and stuff, did any of them like pan out? Did you what was like the first like thing to really like get going like for you?
Let's see. I seem to think that every year in high school I would be in a different band. Like it would last the school year or through the summer and then the beginning of the year.
What were some of those band names? You got those are always funny.
The first one was Oddity. We named that after a Coal Chamber song.
All right.
So we were a little bit, I guess, heavier-ish. I mean, that was like the first time I ever was like writing stuff or coming up with anything and presenting it. And that was what it was. It was like the first riff I ever wrote really was kind of a ripoff of Anthem of the Year 2000 by Silverchair, because I figured out how to play the Silverchair song, and then I was like, hey guys, let's like cover that. And then I couldn't remember how to play it, so then I like improvised something, and it's totally doesn't sound like it at all, but it became that thing. And then like I guess it was probably more grungy than like heavy, but like that was like 99, so we were all listening to Korn, and
yeah, man.
Coal Chamber was the drummer's favorite band, and he used to do the drummer in Coal Chamber did these really cool like things in breakdowns where he'd just be playing on the cymbals and like kind of keeping a beat with the bass drum and stuff, and like cymbal flourishes and stuff like that. And so the drummer in that band would do that, and so I kind of love that. And so actually, now that I think about it, I think I'm gonna write a song with one of those in there. It's been a while since I've done that, but yeah. So he was really into like that, and Orgy, and Limp Bizkit really wasn't the thing. Like I love Wes Borland's guitar playing, but as far as like the band itself, it was okay. It wasn't one of my more favorite bands, but I mean that's what we were listening to at that time. That was like all we listened to, and of course I always listen to Nirvana. Like my top 3 favorite bands of all time are probably Nirvana, Offspring, and Foo Fighters. They were the ones that like got me into like just learning. I used to know how to play every Nirvana song, every B-side, every single thing they put out, except for like whenever they released the box set where there's all these demos of like half songs and whatnot. But like all the album tracks and all of the B-sides and stuff like that, I used to know how to play all of them.
Yeah.
And then Offspring, because Smash came out right around the time, maybe a year before I started playing guitar. And so I listened to that album all the time.
Oh yeah.
And I had the Batman Forever soundtrack, and that had an Offspring song on it too. It was a cover of a Damned song, but yeah. So Offspring was big, and then Foo Fighters. I remember it was definitely after the first album came out. It was before Color and the Shape, and then I listened to the first Foo Fighters record, and I'm like, oh my god, that's awesome! Like this is amazing. And then that was what put it in my head, because I found out later that Dave Grohl recorded all of the instruments himself, and I'm like, I could do that. So why don't I learn all these instruments? And then if there's a band that I like that needs somebody and I know how to play those instruments, I can join like as a fan and a fellow musician. And that's kind of a principle that has served me well over the years, just because of being able to kind of assimilate into different instruments and different styles and different bands and whatnot. But anyway, yeah, we went off on a tangent, but yeah. So the first band names, Oddity was one, and actually it was misspelled. It was with one D. That was because someone, a friend of the band had done a Light Bright, because we played a Halloween show, did a Light Bright thing, and I guess either forgot the D or something, and just looked like Odity.
Right.
Kind of like the that thing you do with the Oneaters. It kind of reminded me of that. So Oddity, and then let me see here. Sophomore year was Quarantine, which is very appropriate now.
Hey.
I named that after, it was a computer game that, and this is dating me for sure. It came on 5 different floppy disks. So you'd like beat a level or a couple levels, and then you had to load in the next disc, and so on and so on.
Right.
But that was that. And then junior year was, this band went through a million different names, but it was like Easy Company for a while. I think that was they're named after Band of Brothers or something. I never saw the show, but I think it was some military show at the time. And then Pen 15 was a name for a minute. We thought that was hilarious.
Right.
The
old Pen 15 Club.
Oh, the Wheelers. The Wheelers after did you ever see Return to Oz? That
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the Wheelers were like the flying monkeys in that movie. So yeah,
which were super creepy.
Yeah, oh yeah. Actually my main guitar, my main Strat that I have, I named it Mombi after the witch in that movie because she removes her head and stuff, and I switch the neck out on this one often, so it seemed kind of appropriate.
Yeah.
But yeah, I showed them that movie. They never seen it before, and so they're like, "The Wheelers, that's awesome." And then finally, like by senior year, I was in a band called Multiracial, and that was because my friend Tony is Asian, and then our friend Owen, his mom was African American and Hispanic, and his dad was white, and then let's see, and then we went through a few different bass players and stuff, but it was kind of a culmination of all of the races, we thought, and so it was like, yeah, we'll make it obvious to people and be multiracial. I think that was it for high school, but yeah, and then I've been in a million different bands since then and whatnot.
I heard a really great interview with Dave Grohl and Foo Fighters on Stern Show this last week, and that was really, really a lot of fun. I mean, of course, like Howard's one of the best, but like it was just a great interview, just hearing them sit and talk for a while and getting to play some great tunes. But Dave was saying that him and Pat and Chris, like they often jam as Nirvana now and stuff, like, which I thought was pretty cool to hear that they're still playing and together and stuff like that, like in that sense. And but he said that was like a lot of why he was actively wanted to become a singer and a guitar player, not a drummer, because he said that it would have made him sad to not have Kurt up there and stuff. So like it was like he didn't want to just be the drummer in another band and stuff after Nirvana ended and stuff. So he talked about how he was even offered the opportunity to go on the road with Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. They played a gig. He played with Tom Petty at Saturday Night Live, and then Tom's like, "Well, join the band. Let's go on the road." And he said, "No, no thanks." And I was like, "That's pretty wild to think about, just turning down playing with Tom Petty." But
yeah, well, he talked about that in the Back and Forth documentary. I don't know if you've seen that one for Foo Fighters. He talks about that a little bit, but as far as the Tom Petty thing, I saw that episode back when Comedy Central would air old episodes of SNL, and I go, that guy is totally playing like Dave Grohl right now. Like this is, I don't even remember what year this was, but this was probably early 2000s, and I'm like, that guy is ripping off Dave Grohl left and right, like the way he's hitting the cymbals and the drum placement and all that stuff. And then and he had cut his hair, so you couldn't, I mean, it didn't look like him really. And then I guess at the end, whenever they're all standing around, I saw him and I'm like, oh, that's Dave Grohl, sure enough. But actually the reason why I wanted to record today is because it's Kurt Cobain's birthday, so that was why I picked this date specifically. Whenever you had asked, like, "Oh, what date works for you?" I'm like, "Well, not the 20th,"
right?
But So that sentiment that he said, where he was like, "Well, yeah, just I didn't want to play drums because," or no. In the same interview, he says, he asks, and it's a very non-musician question to ask, where he goes, "Do you ever go back and listen to the old Nirvana records and just like relive those days? You wish you were back in those days and blah, blah, blah." And he goes, "No, because it's painful." And I can relate to that because whenever I go back and if I listen to anything that I've recorded, I'm taken back to like, I can't listen to it from an outsider's perspective. I listen to it from like, okay, I remember being in the rehearsal room writing these, or being in the studio and actually laying down these tracks, or messing this up and this accident happened, but it sounds really cool, so we left it in, or like things like that. So like there's more of like an insider's perspective on it. And so, if they go back and listen to it, then I can understand the pain that is there, or that could be there. I can't relate to a band member committing suicide or anything like that, but whenever he asked that question, I was immediately like, okay, it's somebody that hasn't been in a band, or I mean, it's a fair question for sure, but I immediately knew what the answer was going to be,
right?
Or their point of view on it. And I did think it was a really good question and a really good answer, but at the same time, I was like, I know exactly what the outcome of this is going to be.
Sure. So you mentioned, kind of how Dave, the way he approached the writing the first Foo Fighters demos and stuff, that he played everything, and that's sort of what inspired you with Sunrise at Sea, right?
Yeah, and basically just a lot of writing in general, because the way that I look at writing is more from like a compositional standpoint, or yeah, I mean, I guess that's pretty much it, like how the parts all work together. So generally, I won't write something that is to show off something. It's more a means to an end. And just so everybody works together. So like there'll be times where I'll write something where it's like, okay, well, I need the drums to be like 4 on the floor, straight ahead, very basic, just lay back, be in the groove, keep it simple. Same thing with the bass. And then there's other times where I'm like, okay, right here is where the band's going to stop, and you just do a crazy fill or something, just do something cool that leads us into the chorus, or, something like that. And then this part, I'll be like, okay, the guitar is just going to sit here and strum this chord and hold it out. I need the bass to carry the melody, something like that. So everybody has their moment to shine. But at the same time, I need people to understand that, like, hey, you need to lay back on this, because the singer's going to be singing here. And we don't want to step on the vocals or something like that. We don't want to be too busy. We want the vocalist to shine here. Or something like that. Like I have always taken it almost from a classical standpoint, with woodwinds, brass, percussion, strings, everything all working together for the greater good. And that was kind of my first love. I remember like kindergarten, going to music class and them showing us Fantasia, and so that was like a huge influence on me at the time. And then I also remember like hearing REM on a commercial or something like that. So it's like this rock music and classical music is ingrained in me. And then, in school, I took music appreciation classes and music theory classes and analytics and stuff like that, where you just sit down and you analyze a piece of music, and, and it makes you look at things in a different way. So a lot of the times when I'm writing something, it's not so much like, right here, I'm going to have the drummer do something flashy so it can show off. It's more like, okay, if I want them to do something flashy, it's got to serve the song. It has to serve the whole thing, the band as a whole, the song as a whole, if I have a riff that I'm doing like some sort of Eddie Van Halen fret tapping thing, and if I want the bass player to do the same thing, there's a reason for it. Like not just to show off, but also be like, okay, look at we're playing together as a unit, or whatever the point is that I'm trying to make with it. There's always a reason for everything. It's not just to not 80 shredders where it's just like let's have both hands on the playing all 10, like a keyboard player or something playing on a guitar. It's not just to show off. It's for something. There is a means to an end there.
Yeah. So you this project you were saying kind of started in 2020 through quarantine. You were just started kind of composing these songs by yourself. Is that correct?
Sort of. Okay, so Sunrise at Sea was born out of the previous band called Astronaut Cosmonaut. And as that band, we played as a 3-piece. We played 2 shows. We played, I think it was like September and November of 2019. Is that right? Wow. Okay. Yeah. It's weird. It's like we've lost an entire year.
Right.
But yeah, so we played twice at Fubar actually. As that band, the first show we didn't have a singer. And then we booked the second show. It was for a benefit. It was oh man, I can't remember. It was something for flood. I believe it was for flood victims. But it was a benefit that this gentleman had put on, and the bass player had organized it and everything like that. And then we found a singer, I think like a month before the show, but he said he wasn't ready to play. And it's like, well, if you're cool with it, we're gonna play the show anyway because, you know, it's a benefit, you know, so it's to help people out, and you know, he's like, yeah, no problem. So we did that, and then he was in the military also. I think he was stationed. He must have been stationed at Scott. And he's like, by, you know, November, or not November, excuse me, March, he's like, I'll be done. I'll be out of the military and we can kind of go full tilt with this thing. It's like, okay, cool. Sounds good. So in January, we went in to Lighthouse Sounds in Alton, which I've been listening to your show, and you've recently been up there or had a few bands, something. I guess you guys might have been recording there or whatever. So you're and you should be familiar with Lighthouse Sounds and all.
Yeah. I was up at I recorded with Tiger Country, and they recorded their record at Lighthouse, so they talked about it a little bit. But I've never actually been there myself yet. But yeah, a couple bands on the show have recorded there. Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that was it. Because it was Tiger Country was the one I was listening to like the last week or week before. Whenever it came out, I listened to it and I was like, oh yeah, I've been to Lighthouse Sounds.
Yeah.
But, anyway, so we went up there and recorded a single. Then we went up there one day. We only did one song. We tracked everything one day, and then I think we laid down the vocals and got the mix back and wanted to go back and like kind of redo a few things. And so we did, and then we were going to go up there to finally mix it. And that was the day that the quarantine, like the stay-at-home order happened. So then we all stayed home for, that would have been like early January. So like, let's see it. So then, yeah, it was like maybe late February is whenever we were supposed to go in there. I think, I don't remember, somewhere around that time. And then the singer was like, oh, well, actually, I'm getting moved to Boston. And we didn't realize that his wife was in the military. So she got transferred to Boston. So he left the band. And then that song ended up not getting finished. And so then come like May, because I was quarantined at that time. And I'd been demoing stuff like, for the last several years, but we only ended up having like 5 songs because Astronaut Cosmonaut had been a band since 2018. I think it was May 2018 was whenever we got together. So for 2 years, we only had 5 songs that like the entire band could play. And so in my frustration, I was just kind of like, I'm going to kind of go my own way. And you know, I wasn't sure if I was going to keep the name Astronaut Cosmonaut, but then I kind of fell out of love with it. Whenever we selected that, it was my suggestion, but I let the other 2 guys kind of pick it, and that was the one that got the most votes. But in the end, I kind of was like, I don't know. I kind of want to start fresh and everything. And then Sunrise at Sea was another name that I had that was in that group, and that stemmed from I was on a cruise a couple of years ago with my son, and I told him on the last day, I was like, I want to go up and see like what a sunrise at sea looks like, and or what a sunrise looks like, you know, on the ocean and whatnot. We were in the Gulf or somewhere around there, and I was like, I want to see what this looks like. And so I got up there like right before the sun broke the horizon, and then just watched it come up. And I wish I would have had the forethought to use my camera and do like a time lapse or something, but it was really cool. It was probably one of the most beautiful things I'd ever seen. And so that's what inspired the suggestion. And then that's what inspired the name as well, eventually. And so just thinking, it could be a very beautiful thing, but then also, there's storms at sea too. So it could be taken that way too. So it could be a very beautiful thing and a very scary or, dark thing as well. So I kind of like the dichotomy of that. Whereas Astronaut Cosmonaut was pretty self-explanatory.
Yeah.
But I had like, I'd been demoing songs throughout the couple of years that, we were Astronaut Cosmonaut, and it wasn't getting the progress that I was hoping for. It was just like, because we'd practice probably two times a week, and it just wasn't happening. Like, I would present something to the band, and then it would take, like a month or something to learn. And then we'd go back and rehearse the other songs and then forget about the new one. And, it kind of like, we kind of kept getting stuck on these other songs, and there'd be a lot of jams that would kind of just go nowhere. And so whenever I was off on my own, I'm like, well, you know what? Since now I'm doing everything myself, I can pump everything out. And so I was doing once I figured out my software, my recording software, I was like off and running. I was doing like the first song I did, which I didn't send to you. It's kind of a ballad, but that one, that took me like 2 days to do. It took me like a day to do the drums and then like a day to lay everything else down. But then once I knew how to do that and got done with that first song, every other song I get done in probably half a day or so. And then usually Sundays are my days of recording and stuff. So I've got like 12 songs, I think.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm looking at my board here and I'm trying to count because I gotta write everything down, or else I'll need a list. Yeah, I think I got like 12 songs that are good and stuff like that. So once I laid all that down, then it was kind of like off to the races. Like, okay, now I need to figure out how to release this, or at least how to get band members and stuff. So that's part of the reason why I reached out, which was, I was like, I know you have a wide listening audience, so maybe somebody knows a singer or something that wants to come in and try out.
Right. So right now, Sunrise at Sea is just you, and it's an instrumental project. These recordings that we have that you are, again, just you on playing guitar, keys, bass, drums, and but you want this to develop into a live band, right? You want add more people to the band and have a singer and stuff. Is that's the goal?
Yes. Actually, so I do have a bass player. He and we jammed once a couple weeks ago, and then Valentine's Day was last Sunday, so we're jamming again tomorrow. And I'm just getting him up to speed on the tunes and stuff. I sent everything to him, and then he was like, "Oh my God, okay, this is a lot." I'm like, "Yeah, well, I mean, I kind of wanted to show you that I'm serious. Like, I got stuff,
right?
I got tunes." So yeah. So I got a bass player. Looking for a drummer and a singer, possibly a keyboard player too, because I've kind of been integrating more and more like keyboard synth parts into the songs. And like at first, I think, one of the songs I sent you was the lead guitar part, and actually it still doubles in that. The lead guitar part is being played along with the synth. Or actually it's a keyboard, but I kind of has a synth sound to it. But I was like, no, you know what? I kind of want to make this sound a little bit more like a little different than just, guitar, bass, and drums. So then I added the keyboard part on top of it. And so it'd be like the first time of playing in a band with a keyboard player. So I might be looking for that too, because I just love the sound of like classical piano, which, I can play it, but I can't play that while playing guitar at the same time.
Right.
I'm not Matt Bellamy from Muse. I'm not that good.
Well, let's drop in. This is Approaching Infinity. You said this will be one you'll be ready to release soon, and this will give you everybody a little idea of what to kind of expect from Sunrise at Sea, right?
Yeah. So, so this. With having so many songs and stuff, a friend of mine had brought it to my attention that right out of the gate, you don't really want to have like a full album for people to kind of delve into, especially the original idea for my album. It was a concept or conceptual, whatever, what have you. piece. And so with it telling a story and so on and so on, you kind of, in this day and age, you kind of want to release singles and stuff and have like people sample like a song and then another song and then another song. And so instead of having like a concept album right out of the gate, I opted to just, I'm going to be doing an EP first of unrelated songs. And so this song would be on that unrelated album, and that's, you know, it's guitar, bass, drums, keyboards, and so yeah, that's pretty much it with that song.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, like, I get what you're saying. Obviously, the conversation comes up of almost every episode. Everybody's trying to figure out the best way for them to release music, but also I kind of think that's the fun of where we're at now with the industry, where there are no rules, man. You can do whatever you want. I mean, like, I think, if you were wanting to do that concept record, like, I don't think there's any harm in it. I think if people will listen either way eventually, it's just like, but I do feel like it's better as, marketing, I think, to constantly just keep hitting them with fresh material all the time, just like new song and stuff. And like, it's like, because it can easily get lost in the shuffle of things, like, hey, here's our whole record. And then like, we'll see you next year, kind of thing. Like, it's instead of keep promoting the same record over and over for a year or something, like, at least if you have a new song every month or whatever, it's something to keep people engaged much longer, keep that fan base involved.
Yeah. And that's kind of, luckily my girlfriend is marketing genius. And so she's been offering me pointers and all that stuff. And we had come up with something pretty cool for the concept album. And but then at the same time I was like, well, I don't want to put in all of this work and have it not go noticed. So I'm kind of going the Ludo route where, they released their first, they released a full length, but obviously this is back in the day. And they built their fan base on that. Then their second album was The Broken Bride, the concept, the big concept album. And they had the people there to listen to it, as opposed to if they would have released Broken Bride first and then their second album, or their first album second, I think it wouldn't have gotten as big, or there wouldn't have had as many people care about the story that they did. And so that's kind of where my thought process is like, okay, I think it's a great story and whatnot, but I want it to reach the widest audience possible. And as of right now, I'm assuming I have an audience of 0 or
right.
1. I mean, I'll include you in that 1, or no, 2. I guess I got my girlfriend and the baseball. So I got 3. I got 3
Hey,
people.
look at that. We already tripled, man.
Yeah, exactly. But so yeah, with that being said, I said, well, with all of your expertise on marketing and all this stuff, like, we have to always think like lowest number possible. So right now I'm erring on the side of 0 for listeners. And so I think if we release the singles, kind of play the game as it is now, like you said, release a single every month or whatever, and kind of build up the audience that way. Then by the time the whole concept comes out, then there's more people that are apt to be engaged and listen to it and all of that stuff. So I just didn't want to kind of waste an awesome marketing and album concept for no one to hear it, right. I guess the old adage of, if a tree falls in the forest, does it ever make a sound?
Right.
So, that was my constant worry. And so that's why I'm like, okay, you know what? I'll release my unrelated songs as an EP, or I can release them as singles as well. Because there's nothing that ties them all together. But the second one, it was more of like, okay, I could like say, okay, this is the first single from the album, but not like, I don't want to like separate it as far as, like on Spotify where they have, the single release and then here's the album as well. So you got everything kind of all jumbled in separate places and whatnot. So I'd rather have that be all together. And that's why, I'm opting to do it that way. And like I said, I've got enough songs to be able to do that anyway. So yeah, I'm cool with it.
So when you think we might be able to expect this first release?
Well, I need the bandmates first.
Right.
The music side I can take care of obviously on my own, but it's like I really want a great front person, one you're never going to get another Freddie Mercury, but at this day and age, a Freddie Mercury, like somebody that can perform as well as sing. They don't have to be able to sing as well as he did, but just somebody that's able to kind of captivate and just put on a show, which is, like I said, the reason why I kind of don't really want to front it myself, because I want to be moving around and stuff like that. Like that's one of my kind of irks whenever I go and see local bands. Like, yeah, they put on they have great music, but they kind of just stand there and play. Like we were talking about Many Colored Death. They're awesome live. They move around and they put on a show, you know, and Shay is a monster drummer, like holy crap. But she does kind of like her stick twirls on occasion, and like just they put on a show.
Sure.
You know, and it's awesome, and they're a 3-piece and they're great. But there's a lot of bands that I'll go and see and I'll be like, this music is awesome, but they're just standing there, even like on parts that like the audience is kind of headbanging or grooving along and whatever.
Right.
The band's just kind of standing there, and I'm like, come on, guys, put on a show. Like you guys could be huge if you just if you moved around a little bit, you know? Sure. And that's something that I feel that is kind of lacking, or at least in what I've seen, but also I haven't seen a local show in over a year. So, you know, maybe whenever quarantine and everything is over and everything opens up and everything is good, I'm sure that everyone that's itching to play out is going to be bouncing off the walls. You know, it's going to be like a old school Pearl Jam show, or like Dillinger Escape Plan or something, like where everyone's going nuts and you know, just crazy. But that's my main gripe, and that's what I kind of wanted to bring whenever I play live is you know, just a show in general, whether it be theatrical or you know, just moving and interacting with the crowd. And you know, because my philosophy has always been, you know, if you're going to play your songs exactly, if you're going to stand there and play your songs exactly like how they are on the record, I could just stay home and listen to the record. You know, if they're going to like change up the songs and make it kind of new and interesting, cool. Or if they're going to, you know, scream in my face the entire time and jump off the stage and backflips and, you know, whatever, then, you know, then it's worth seeing.
Yeah. Well, you can find all things Sunrise at Sea on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can get plugged in socially. You can find sunriseatseamusic.com. Will be available here very soon, and by the time you hear this, you should be able to go there and visit the website and things get plugged in there. But yeah, hopefully we can get the band together and make all these come to life and get all this music out there for you, buddy.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And I was going to tell you at the start of the show, you're my first podcast, but
yeah, man,
that would be a lie, because I remembered, to promote that that show that we did for the flood victims, we went on a podcast, and then unfortunately your rival Matt Bosler had me on his podcast like 10 years ago.
Oh yeah.
I was in Pirate Signal. He used to do like movie reviews at Lemons. I think I seem to recall we watched, I think it was some video game movie from the 80s. Maybe the one with Fred Savage in one. You know what I'm talking about? No. I seem to think it was that one, or it might have been a double feature or something like that. But I seem to think that he had a podcast back in the day, and unfortunately, I was going to be like, "Yeah, Shane, you're my first one. Well, my first one solo." But yeah, he broke my podcast virginity, unfortunately.
Yeah. Oh, Matt Bosler. Yeah, that guy's pretty funny.
Yeah. Well, have you ever met Brian?
Oh yeah. Talk's on the show a couple times. Yeah.
What's going on with Talk? Like, I know Spencer lives in Indiana, but and they would play shows, but I didn't know. I know he's in not Brian. Matt is in Middle Class Fashion, but yeah, Talk is one of those bands that when Pirate Signal did our CD release, we had them. They played. They opened, like, because obviously we were the headliner, and they played. Did they play right before us? I don't think we were that dumb. I think we had a buffer between us, and it was kind of like, yeah, you guys are gonna have to take this one for us. It's our show. We don't want to look bad.
Right.
I seem to think, but I could be wrong. But maybe they did play right before us. But Talk is amazing live, and
for sure.
You know, Brian is an amazing guitar player. Oh my God, that dude. But yeah, they're awesome. They're old buddies, and I unfortunately haven't seen them in a few years, but yeah, I listened to their stuff, and I love the rivalry between you guys, and I heard your podcast on his show. I think it was this. No, when did that come out? That was like a couple weeks ago. I'm getting it all mixed up because I listen to all of them all the time.
Right.
But no, I love the rivalry between you guys. It's definitely entertaining.
Yeah. Well, I got a couple questions for you, Keith, before we get out of here. I've been having fun running around town asking these questions, and let's start with what would be a dream duet or collaboration you'd like to see for yourself?
Oh, for myself, can it be living or dead?
Sure, I'll allow it. It's a dream.
Obviously, living. Let's see here. I would like to do. Let's see here. I would like to write a song with John Lennon.
Yeah.
I think that would be very, very interesting just because, yeah, some of the stories that he had told about coming up with different songs, like that song Instant Karma. Apparently he wrote it that morning and they recorded it in the afternoon. It was released that night. I would like to see if that's actually true or if it was just a bit of an exaggeration. I'm not saying that it couldn't happen. I'm just saying that's pretty amazing if it did. So I would like to kind of be in on that and just kind of see what's going on. And then also, Paul McCartney would be cool too, because he was kind of a multi-instrumentalist as well. I think he did the first Wings album by himself, which gave Dave Grohl had said in an interview that gave him the idea for the first Foo Fighters album to be able to do it on his own. And then he's also said Stuart Copeland gave him, because he did a solo album himself. So both of those guys, but Paul McCartney or John Lennon or all three of us, except I would probably feel quickly just like dwarfed,
Right.
That might just be too much.
Yeah. I don't know, man. Also in that Foo Fighters interview, Dave shared a story about hanging out at Paul's house at a party and stuff. And I was just like, man, I'd be like, I mean, I don't know. Paul seems like just like the coolest dude, but like at the same time, like, I don't know that I could just like hang out at like, it'd be really difficult to even like speak to the man. I think like,
yeah, I think I would be able to handle like it for like the first like couple hours. Maybe I'd freak out even if I was hanging out with Ringo or something. Like as chill as he seems,
right?
I think even with him, like Paul McCartney, I probably wouldn't be able to look in the eye, but or be like, never look at him. It's he's too bright, whatever. But Ringo would probably take a couple hours to get used to, and then finally be like, hi.
Yeah, I can't even look at you right now.
Yeah,
like a combination of Fergie and Jesus.
Oh man. So speaking of Beatles, my favorite Beatles thing was in you ever see Walk Hard?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Dewey Cox, whenever they're referring to each other in their full name because they clearly don't look anything like any of the Beatles.
Right.
That's freaking transcendental, Paul McCartney. What do you think, John Lennon?
Yeah. Classic movie, man. It's so funny.
Oh, I love it.
That get out of here, Dewey. You don't want none of this.
You don't want no part of this. Did you hear me? This pill gives you a boner. If boners last more than 4 hours, call more ladies.
The other day I had Let's Do It on stuck in my head. I was singing that and I was like, in my mind, blowing me. Kisses. Yeah. So.
Oh man, that movie, like, probably that would be second in line. So my typical pre-show ritual, the day of a show is I always watch Spinal Tap, and that movie, Walk Hard, would probably be my second in line. Like if somehow I lost my DVD of Spinal Tap, I'd probably watch Walk Hard, and then like my third in line would be Airheads.
Yeah.
All music-based comedies.
Yeah. So I listened to this podcast, The 500 with Josh Adam Myers, and it's Josh is like going through Rolling Stone's 500 greatest albums of all time, and it picks sometimes as musicians, sometimes as comedians, and different people involved in the records, or just is a lot of variety in guests. But he sat down with Harry Shearer and talked about now I'm blanking on the record they did together. Either way, but it was like you get like half interview of the guests and half about the record. So like there was a lot of fun, like hearing some Spinal Tap stuff and hearing Simpsons stories and different things. So it was a really a fun interview. So if you're a fan, I would recommend checking that out for sure.
Definitely. Well, speaking of Spinal Tap, I had asked a guy that I've become friendly with through Facebook. His name is Louis Allen, and he's the guitar player for. I'm not in the pop music realm or anything like that, so I know nothing about any of that, and had no idea who this guy was. But he's the guitar player for Sam Smith, and is it Liam Payne, I believe, which are like big pop, superstar guys. And I didn't realize how big he was until he started sharing pictures like, oh, I miss playing live. And he's like, this was in front of, 50,000 people at this. I'm like, holy crap, dude. And he's British. And so I asked him, I was like, hey, out of curiosity, in Spinal Tap, like, were their accents convincing? Because you hear about, these, for some reason on YouTube, I think it's Big Brother listening to me as I speak. But I asked like if accents are convincing or whatever. And I started getting all these YouTube videos on these actors that completely botched their accents in movies. And so I asked him, I was like, do they sound British? He's like, oh my God, yeah. Especially the guy that plays Nigel. He sounds like spot on. I go, oh, I think it's because he's like, his family is British, or he's like some sort of royalty or something like that. But so I asked, a British person, and he said they're spot on. So that they're not only are they great musicians, but they did really great British accents. And I've also shared the Nigel scene where he's doing the guitar solo, and he like picks up the violin and like is running the violin strings across the guitar strings, and it's just noise. And I'm like, that's me. If I ever got a guitar, that would be me.
Right.
And also the scene where he's showing off his guitars and stuff like that. I'm like, that would be me if I had the money. Don't even look at that one. Don't point.
If you get when we get the chance, there's a Keith Kettmann biopic.
Oh, wait. What was that?
Keith Kettmann biopic.
Yep, there we go.
Who would you like to see cast to play you in the movie version?
Denzel.
Yeah.
Yeah. I get told all the time how much I resemble Denzel Washington.
Sure. And he's got great range.
Yeah, definitely. Or could we do like a reverse Robert Downey Jr. in Tropic Thunder and have Denzel in whiteface?
I think that's possible.
Is that okay in this day and age? If I say it's okay, it's okay then, I think, right?
I mean, it is your movie.
Yeah. I mean, I think that would work.
Yeah. What's your strangest fear, Keith?
Fear or phobia?
Either way.
Well, because that's not strange. I'm deathly afraid of snakes.
Yeah.
Like seize up, like a Jeff Daniels in arachnophobia thing, except like at the zoo when they're behind the glass. But even whenever I go into the building, I can't think of what it's called. Whenever I go in there, I still like am like, oh my God, a snake could get out in here. And, I had run-ins in my childhood that definitely developed that fear. But as far as another fear, failure in general.
Sure.
And it's been enhanced more so now that I'm a father. Because you kind of want to be an example for your children, and I mean, you kind of, it's weird to explain, where it's like you kind of need to be perfect all the time, but you're flawed. Like, like I only realized that my parents were flawed once I became a parent. Like when you get older is whenever you realize, like, oh, my parents didn't know everything that I asked them, and they're kind of winging it or what have you.
Right.
So just being a failure and not being able to provide and all that stuff, and it's all for my sons. Like they're the reason why I do pretty much anything for betterment or anything like that. If I was single and not a dad, I'd probably just be like, cool, you'd probably find me in a beanbag chair and like chilling out with some week old Cheetos or whatever. Like I wouldn't care, no big deal. But you just strive to provide, and so they're basically letting them down, I guess is what it is. So not necessarily failure, but failing them.
Sure. Are they kind of coming around to music, or are they?
Oh my God. Yeah, my older son Max, he's not my biological son, but I met him when he was 4. And for Christmas, his birthday's in January, so I met him in June. So he was 4.5 whenever I met him, and then Christmas the following year, so he was 5, almost 6. We bought him an electric drum set, like a full size electric drum set. And I took him to a couple concerts before that. His first concert was the band Failure, and Local H opened. This is at the Firebird. So I took him to that. That was his first concert experience. And Kelly Scott, the drummer, awesome dude. And he had signed some drumsticks and gave them to him. And then he hit me up. That concert was in September, I think. And he hit me up like a month later, because we're friends on Facebook. We talk every so often. But he hit me up and was like, hey, what's your address? And I told him, and he's like, okay, cool, thanks. And then, like, I don't know, a couple weeks later, there was a package of drumsticks for Max, because I had been taking video of him. Like I would sneak in and hear him. He's singing a Failure song and drumming along to it. Not really, just playing on it. And he had like a little chair that he was using like pencils on. And so he sent him some drumsticks for Christmas. And then that year we got him an electric drum set, and like a full size, like he had to sit on the stool. He couldn't play the bass drum or anything like that. For that. And the first song I ever taught him was the Sweater Song from Weezer, because it's super simple, but he'll go in and I've got videos from whenever we would go into Guitar Center. He would play that opening beat and play the Sweater Song. I mean, it's the same thing the whole time, but that opening fill, he'd play that. So he started whenever he was about 5 playing drums. And then my younger son, Henry, he's 5 now. And he likes to sing, and I've got my piano. He'll come up and just kind of start playing on the piano a little bit, and then he'll strum one of my guitars on the stand. But sometimes he'll ask, can I play? Like, yeah, no problem. So I'll pick it up and give it to him. So he's got an interest for sure. My older son, he only wants to play drums, which is it. I mean, either way, it's fine. And then that age-wise, that would work out, because they could be the next Van Halen. The older brother's a drummer and the younger brother's a guitar player. Yeah. So, but yeah, both of them have an interest, and I'm not trying to push them into it, because that's how you kind of kill the joy in things in kids, if you really try to push them into stuff. Sure. But yeah, they definitely are, and I'm very, very proud. And there is a video that I have of I was at it was back whenever the band used to practice at Utopia, and I was up there grabbing something. And so Max sits down at the drums and starts playing, and then Henry grabs a microphone and he's like walking around the room with his arms out, like I don't know what this is called, but like a shrug kind of, I'm showing you the motion, but that, and he's walking around like being all animated and stuff, like a little Freddie Mercury, and it's amazing. And I don't think he'd seen Bohemian Rhapsody at that point, but the way he was doing it, I was like, oh my God, this is hilarious. I took a video of it and posted it, and it was just too cute, too funny, too hilarious, but I would definitely do more than what I was exposed to as a kid, which was my dad was very encouraging. My mom wasn't so much encouraging in music. She's the old school, like, you got to have a backup plan and you can't play music and blah, 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 blah. Whereas my dad was like, kind of, I think he might've also done it to go against my mom. He was all about, practice, play, he'd drive me to shows whenever I was too young or in hall equipment and all that stuff. So I definitely give my boys far more encouragement as far as music goes than I was offered. And hopefully if they choose to go that route, then they can go much further at a much younger age than I have. Have more confidence, basically.
Yeah. Well, hopefully it'll work out, man. That's exciting stuff, though, to be a part of it with them, and watch them fall in love with it on their own and things like that.
For sure. Oh, it's great because my younger son, whenever I'm playing music, he's a critic too. I'll be like playing a song, and at the end he'll be like, "I don't like that song. Don't play it again."
Right.
Okay. Or he'll be like, "What song is that?" I'm like, it is, whatever. And he's like, "Oh, I like it. Play it again." Okay. He's actually, funny enough, he's really into Philip Glass, the composer Philip Glass. Like, he did the music for Candyman and some other movies and stuff, but he's mainly known as a minimalist composer.
Yeah.
But for a while he only wanted to listen to this Spotify playlist that was like horror movie themes. And so he loved the Halloween theme and the Candyman theme, which are both, piano driven. And so he'd be like, play that again, play it again, play it again. And so he's got an ear for music, and it's almost startling how much of a carbon copy of me that he is, and when he was younger, his favorite movie, he knows all the words, and he'll randomly bust out into songs from Nightmare Before Christmas. He'll just start singing that, random songs, and,
right.
And I'm just like, that's hilarious. You're too cute. I want to pinch your cheeks.
Yeah. Well, buddy, this has been a ton of fun, man. I'm really glad we made this happen today.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you so much. And
again, find Sunrise at Sea, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, sunriseatseamusic.com.
Oh, wait, sorry. All the socials are Sunrise at Sea STL.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, my bad.
Oh, you're all right. But yeah, and then hit up Keith if you're interested, right?
Yeah. And then, so what was it? Approaching Infinity. And then we got the Tarot Card Promise, and, was it Somewhere in Between?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, any of those, if, someone's got, like a way of recording vocals on top of it, and send it to me, or reach out. Cause I recently found out that if you send MP3s through Facebook, it sounds like complete crap. It's like all distorted and horrible sounding.
Right.
So, I can give email addresses and whatnot and all of that. But yeah, drummers and singers mainly are what I'm looking for.
Right. Well, hopefully we'll get on a stage here sometime soon with the band and make it all happen and everything. So that'll be exciting.
Yeah, definitely. I'm looking forward to it, especially whenever everything is safe again. Because yeah.
Well, right on, Keith. Well, thanks, buddy. And I appreciate you doing this today.
I appreciate you having me.
Yeah, man. All right. Bye, everybody.